Travis Scott fans have been waiting since 2020 for his highly anticipated fourth studio album, Utopia. While the album's rollout seemed to be starting in late 2021, it would understandably be halted following the Astroworld Festival tragedy. However, it seems as if finally Travis is getting ready to drop this record, with the rollout seemingly starting up once again. Fans have been teased about this project for nearly 3 years, and so much has happened since the time that Travis first told fans that he would see them in Utopia in August of 2020. Now, I made a video last year detailing all the events happening in between the time that Travis first announced this project to the release of Escape Plan and Mafia, and here we are 1 year later, and so much more has been revealed about Utopia. We seemingly may be just a month away from this thing finally dropping on streaming, finally releasing, and I for one couldn't be more excited. Rumor has it that this might even be a double album, and Travis's original Dystopia concept, which was like a preluding mixtape, might evolve into this thing being a double album. Regardless, there is a lot to be hype about right now if you are a Travis Scott fan. And with Utopia seemingly on the horizon, let's get into all the new info we've learned about this record and see exactly what fans can expect with the album's release, allegedly just a month away. So Travis was pretty quiet in early 2022. He was still dealing with the fallout of the Astroworld Fest incident, but there wasn't a lot of news regarding his own work musically. We would know that he was in the studio with Kanye, working on the Donda 2 sessions, and also be featured on that Southside and Future track, Hold That Heat. But soon, we would get some more interesting information that pertained to his solo work with Utopia. That news would come 2 months after the release of Hold That Heat, as Travis would be seen filming some sort of music video on a boat. In the pictures that were seen by the public, Travis is seen wearing a pretty futuristic looking fit, which kind of, goes with the vibe of Utopia that we're expecting. And then there's also extras that are seen wearing masks and having guns. Now, we don't really know much about this filming session, like what song it was for, or if it's still going to be released when the record drops, but it does show us that Travis was in the zone creatively. Furthering on the idea of Travis working on new music, he would tweet out in July about being in the studio. Now, JID and Joey Badass would comment on this tweet. JID would basically say, like, yo, send me some beats, and Joey Badass would be like, yo, you said you were going to send me some beats, you better pull through with that. And I'm really just smoking hopium here. I really want a JID collab with Travis, but we'll see if anything comes out of this interaction. I thought it would just be fun to include it if they do end up being featured on this record. In August, Travis would perform for one of the first times post-Astroworld Fest incident over in the UK at the O2 Arena, and he would play a new track as he performed the song God's Country. Now, this track stems back to 2020 and was going to be the title track for Kanye West's now scrapped album God's Country. So this was originally Kanye's song, and Travis was just featured on it, but somewhere in between 2020 and now, he gave it to Travis. Now, it's not really known if there's a finished version of God's Country out there from the time that Kanye had it, but, being with the fact that it was Kanye's song originally, and also that Kanye and Travis have linked up so many times in between that original God's Country era and now, the first Donda, even the Donda 2 sessions in 2022, it's not really crazy to think that, hey, maybe Kanye has a feature on here, but also at the same time, especially with Kanye, never expect anything. I'm going to talk about the track more in depth in a little bit here when I talk about the songs that we can expect on this album and overall the sound. Really weird and abstract instrumental though, and it really gets me hype. Travis is going real experimental with this shit, but we'll get into it in a second, as I said. Now, silence from a fan's perspective, especially in the moment, sucks, but looking back in hindsight, you often realize that an artist was silent because they were hard at work in the studio focusing on music. And that would likely be the case, as in August we heard that God's Country track, and the next update we would hear regarding Utopia would be all the way in December. Now, December of 2022, this music publication called Hits Daily Double would post their weekly hits list, and a section on that list would essentially say that Travis Scott was dropping an album and going on tour in 2023. I'll read it here so we get the specifics documented. It says, chatters abounds regarding a new epic album and tour in 23, as David Stromberg puts a new place on the board and shows that there's plenty juice in this cactus. This is terrible. Oh my god. Anyway, it rounds out by saying who else is powering Team Travis. I don't know what it is with these news publications, but like, they try to get too clever and too smart and too like creative with their writing. It's like, you're not cute, bro. Like, for the weekend, they'll be like, the Pray for Love artist. Like, stop! Just call them by their name. Anyways, regardless of my beef with modern journalism, the reason I made you guys sit through that was that Travis Scott would actually like this post, basically co-signing and confirming this information regarding him dropping his album in the coming year, in 2023. Now you may be saying, well, he just liked it. He could be being cute. He could be teasing. This man has literally made us sit through fucking 2 years without any updates. And to that, I tell you this, in February of 2023, the CEO of Epic Records, which is Travis's label, would confirm this information and even give us a month. She would participate in this interview, and she would be asked what people can expect from the label this coming year. And to that, she would respond, well, Travis Scott, we're expecting his album in June. A few weeks later, Travis himself would provide an update on the album at a Cactus Jack concert. He would essentially say that before Utopia drops, Sofago and Sheck West are going to be dropping projects, and then he will release his album. Here's a clip.
Sheck West, you know the scouts is on the way. We got Fago about to put a little EP out, that's on the way. And right after that, Utopia.
So this is kind of depressing for fans, as it was a pretty vague statement and also meant like, hey, you gotta wait for these two guys to release totally separate projects, have their own rollouts and everything before you get my album, which by the way still didn't tell you when that's coming. And the hard times would only continue as he would perform at Rolling Loud, California in early March, and we would get no updates on music. He wouldn't say a single thing about Utopia, wouldn't tease any new tracks, nothing. While fans were finally starting to be just totally exhausted, we've already lost hope at this point, but it was like, you know what, I'm sick of waiting. Whenever it releases, it releases. We would start to get some huge news in May of 2023. So Mike Dean, the legendary producer who's worked with Travis heavily throughout his entire career, would post on Instagram a picture of him in the studio on May 13th. Now, fans didn't really think anything of this. You know, Mike's been working heavily with The Weeknd, so we had no idea that this was even Travis Scott related. Even if it was at this point in time, we still don't know. But the reason this is important is that Travis Scott himself would comment on the post saying, "It's time." 2 days later, Travis would be recorded in the Houston Astros locker room, where he would be recorded to say that he just played Utopia for the team. Travis would also say in the video, finish the masters. Masters as in the final step in finishing a record. You mix and master the tracks. They're all done. The vocals are finished. The instrumentals are all set. You just mix and master them right before you put it on streaming.
Fresh from Utopia. You know what I mean? Live from the Utopia. It's on the way now, Mark. Had to come here and play the Utopia for the boys down in the locker room. Had to get it right for the game. Now we on. Do best, Mark. Finish the master, Mark. Now we do, Mark, from the clubhouse to the stools. Welcome to Space City.
Now this was huge news, yet fans have been starved of new music from Travis Scott for so long that they were kind of precautious in their excitement. That would all change on May 18th. On the 18th of May, Mike Dean would post a picture on Instagram of his screen as he was mastering a track. And the caption of this post would read, Utopia. Now first off, holy shit, this album is actually about to be finished. But also, if you remember, the CEO of Travis's label said that he would be dropping in June, and allegedly, if they're mastering the tracks right now, that's going to be true. I also want to point out real quick that the caption of this post was not Utopia, but rather just Topia. The rumors back in 2021, as presented by a very reliable source, that source being On Thin Ice, the thing was that Travis Scott, before releasing Utopia, was going to drop a mixtape kind of similar to Days Before Rodeo and Rodeo, and that mixtape was going to be called Dystopia. Travis himself would hint at this project, saying that before you reach Utopia, you got to have the Dystopia, and also backing up this whole theory, on the double single release of Escape Plan and Mafia, on the cover art, the little newspaper article there says Dystopia. Now, it could be that that double single release in November, that was Dystopia, or that's what it was going to be and planned the whole time. And it could be that, just saying Topia is a cool way, a promotional tactic, or a way to say it without saying Utopia. But fans are really running with this idea, this prediction, that whatever is dropping in June is going to be a double album, and one side of it is going to be that psychedelic rock sound, that experimental style that this project's rumored to have, and that was heard on tracks that have been previewed, such as Lost Forever. I will say that if you are going to drop an album that's really experimental, it is a good idea for like half of it to be those trap bangers that fans are used to, and then the other being that really experimental shit. And also, if you think about it, album's been in the process of being made for 3 years? The material's probably definitely there. Now, on the same day as that Mike Dean Instagram post, Travis would be photographed by the paparazzi going into his car with a bodyguard, and that bodyguard would be holding a briefcase that was handcuffed to his arm. This briefcase had a label on it that read Utopia, and we can assume that the handcuffing is because perhaps in the briefcase is a hard drive or a computer with this album on it. Additionally, Travis's ride would have the word Topia on the tailgate, and it could be promo, but let me dream. I just really want this double album, man. But now that we've gone through the timeline again and we're up to date, as of now anyway, I'm sure updates will ensue right after I post this video so everything's outdated. What exactly can we expect from Utopia? As I said, a year back, this album was reported to have a psychedelic rock sound. Now, this information's backed up by a song that Travis has teased a lot in the lead up to this record's release. That song being Lost Forever, featuring Westside Gunn. This song is likely a lock for Utopia. Travis has teased it, like I said, on multiple occasions, and has a very abstract instrumental and an eerie hook that's performed by James Blake. And the other song that Travis has teased, God's Country, kind of falls in that same category. It has a very abstract and strange beat and sample. And I say that in the best way possible because this is going to be so experimental, and Travis is going to go for a sound that I don't think we've ever heard before, at least, in the trap and hip-hop realm. We don't know whether or not the double album rumors are true, and I'm personally leaning towards them not being true because I don't want to get my hopes up. But whether or not this album has two sides or not, what we do know is that the tracks on the album will definitely have abstract and experimental elements, which I'm all here for. And while I'm sure there's going to be trap bangers on here, I am expecting a whole lot of red release day type reaction from the general public when this thing first drops. Another thing I'm really looking forward to, aside from the music obviously with this record dropping, is the merchandise, artwork, and visuals that are going to come along with this release. The merch we have seen from the Astroworld Festival in 2021 and even that O2 show Travis had back in August has been very trippy and psychedelic. The concepts are very nightmarish, so I'm really looking forward to ultimately what the official merch looks like, as well as what the album cover is going to be. Travis Scott always kind of has those iconic album covers, so I'm interested to see what this fourth one is going to look like. Ultimately, shit is looking up for Travis Scott fans. The album is being mixed and mastered. Travis has confirmed himself that it's finished, and it looks like that June release date is going to be met. Travis always evolves his sound from album to album, and it seems as if Utopia is going to be his biggest evolution yet, if those psychedelic rock rumors are true. It has been almost 5 years since the release of Travis Scott's last solo album. That record, Astroworld, is seen as one of the most influential albums of the 2010s and truly cemented Travis's spot on top of the music industry. Now, one of the biggest artists in the game currently, all eyes are on Travis with this upcoming record, and it's showtime. After 3 long years, Utopia is finally upon us. And hopefully the next time I release a video talking about this project, we'll have this thing on streaming and I could do my thing analyzing the lyrics. But until then, I'll see you in Utopia.